Greetings and salutations. Can I start out a little different this time? If these videos are a help to you, would you help the Higher Grounds podcast by liking them and sharing them with everybody you know? If they'll be a help to you, they'll be a help to others. I'm not trying to pander for likes. I'm just trying to help the channel. The views are going down. Let's see if we can get them back up. So, that being said, if you'll allow me to, I want to climb into the Wayback Machine. I want to go down memory lane to the first football game my dad ever took me to. I remember watching part of Super Bowl 15 with him. That would have been the Eagles versus the Raiders in January of 1981. Now, that was the first game I ever watched with any interest. I would have been 8 years old. I was so intrigued by what I was seeing that from that point on, I would go to the library. I would read every book I could get, just trying to learn anything and everything I could learn. History, traditions, teams, rules, how to, anything, everything. I started collecting football cards, soaking up the statistical information on the back of them, who played for what team and at what position, and so on. So about the first game I ever went to, it had to be either the fall of 1981, 82, or 83. The reason I know it had to be somewhere in that ballpark is the first game I actually ever got in to see was LSU versus Tennessee in Knoxville in October of 1983. But that was not the first game I ever went to. Confused? Allow me to explain. First game I ever went to, my dad and my dad's sister's husband, which technically would have been my uncle-in-law. Let's just say my dad and my uncle. We drove to Knoxville. Well, we didn't drive. I didn't drive. I was 8 or 9 or 10. We drove to Knoxville. We parked, and we walked, and we walked, and we walked. And I noticed that they would continually stop and talk to random strangers along the way, and I thought that was very odd. It happened several times, and we kept getting closer and closer to the stadium. I could hear the band. I could hear the crowd. I could hear the PA announcer. And I thought to myself, man, we're almost there. The stadium's right there. We're almost there. This thing get ready to start. And then I saw my dad and my uncle turn around and start walking away from the stadium. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What's happening here? Dad, what's going on? Why are we not going to the game? And he simply said that they couldn't find tickets and that we couldn't get in and that we were going home. Needless to say, I've never been so disappointed in my young life. I was completely astonished that we had come all the way to Knoxville only to turn around and go back home without watching the game. Now, looking back on it, I know exactly what happened. Dad and my uncle had planned to scalp some tickets outside the stadium, but it didn't pan out that way, and we didn't get in. So from that day forward, even as a young fella, I determined if I was ever going anywhere that you had to have a ticket to get in, I wasn't leaving home without a ticket. Chalk the scalping business. Now, what does all this story have to do with anything? Well, I thought I was going. I thought I was getting in. I was counting on the work of another to get me in. Sadly, in this instance, he couldn't get me in. Ultimately, I didn't get in. Why? Because I didn't have a ticket. So let me ask you today, are you going to heaven? Are you sure you're getting in? What are you counting on to get you in? Do you have a ticket, as it were? Look, you can't work your way in. Ephesians 2. Verse 8 and 9, for by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. You can't be good enough to get in. Romans chapter 3, verse number 20. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin. You can't get in through works. You can't be good enough to get in. The only way to get in is through and by the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ. 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 18 and 19, you know the verse. For as much as you know that you were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, from the vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Christ, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot. Ephesians 1:7, and whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins according to the riches of his grace. And on we could go. What's the lesson for us to learn here? Just because you think you're going doesn't necessarily mean you're getting in. Well, that's all for today's Morning Minute Meditation. Y'all have a great day, and remember, it is what it is.